Right, I always want to do a little comparison because of my two 35mm SLRs. It's the NIKON F2 on the right and the CONTAX RTS I on the left. On the left with professional motor drive up to 5 pictures per second. And why I'm doing this, the NIKON F2 has to go. Why? It used to be the king of the late 70s and the CONTAX RTS I came out in 1975. But the F2 is definitely surpassed with a more sophisticated, refined and actually lighter and a bit nimbler CONTAX RTS. It just looks massive here because of the motor drive, but it's actually lighter than the F2. Why I'm selling the F2? For different reasons. I don't like the old glass on the Nikon, these quirky dog ears which you have to wind up and down to let the old-fashioned heavy viewfinder on top let you know what's the max aperture of the lens. And on top, if you ever focus a lens, a Nikon lens, Nikkor, versus the super smooth double helical CONTAX Carl ZEISS lenses, I must say honestly, no hate whatsoever, the NIKON F2 lenses feels somewhat cheap, like on a, I don't know, on a cheap Yashica or Minolta lens. It's a bit plastic touch, whereas CONTAX RTS lenses are, most of them, made out of metal, not the planar ones, that's plastic as well. But overall, I'm more happy with the CONTAX RTS. I used both of the cameras for 35 years, so if I say after using 40 years CONTAX and Nikon parallel, why is the CONTAX a better camera and why don't use all the journalists and the CONTAX and not the Nikon? The reason is easy. The Nikon is more sturdy, it's robust, bit built like a tank, very classic. I don't like the quirky concept here of the viewfinder on top of the normal dial, so that's a workaround. The RTS with the professional motor drive has everything built in you don't need to tell the camera which lens it on, it knows it itself. The lens is directly coupled to the body. The body knows always what lens and aperture is in there. And it has a more sophisticated, super smooth electronic shutter. And it's electronic controlled. The NIKON F2, whereas has a mechanical shutter, which is not bad, very robust. But I used them in Antarctica, both of them, and the NIKON F2 failed badly in temperatures at minus 25 degrees. Why? Because the mechanical shutter slowed down so badly, all the pictures been overimposed by minimum 1 aperture. So whereas the CONTAX RTS with the electronic shutter, which is also more capable, down to a 2,000th of a second, whereas the shortest time the F2 can is also thought 2000. I'm sorry, I must correct. I had a NIKON F1 and that was only 1000. So they are on par on this. Overall, the CONTAX RTS is a lighter camera, more electronic, not as heavy, but probably not as robust. So it's a bit of personal taste. But for the optics, I am not able to argue. The Nikon lenses can't stay up, just can't stay up to the ZEISS lineup. Not only from the feel and touch, the results are slightly better. And let the journalists use the F2s because they don't need the highest sophistication. I personally like also the design from Ferdinand Alexander Porsche, which is a Porsche design of the 911. The Nikon looks very classic, just an evolution of the F1. But hey, it's a taste, and I like the CONTAX RTS more. The NIKON F2 is being sold today. It's going to be shipped out for $500, and I'm more than happy to continue with my RTS, which has also some siblings here. There are more RTSs and CONTAX and ZEISS cameras. That's where it all started. Nikon had no cameras at the time. That was a CONTAX 2A from Stuttgart, Heslach. And it was very good, some Contaflex SLR, but that was dead end. But for now, I use most of the time the very famous CONTAX ST with this super sharp Vario Sonar 35 to 70mm. One of the best lenses you can buy. There's another half dozen of ZEISS lenses. That's why I sold my NIKON F2. That's all for me, and it's my personal taste. I just want to give an expression why I just love the CONTAX RTS and the CONTAX series over the comparable F2, which in my view is a bit outdated with its mechanical shutter, quirky lenses and workaround photomic viewfinder. Just not my taste. Bye bye.